Hello and welcome to my tutorial on how to use Adobe Photoshop to create your social media visuals. Now, I do have another tutorial out there that shows you how to create social media visuals using canva.com, which is a web application. And it's much easier, I'm gonna be honest, but if you're really anxious to dive into Photoshop and just, click around and create something, this is a really great place to start. Now, I'm going to explain this process as if you've never even opened up Photoshop before. So if you have opened up Photoshop before, this may be a little bit beyond you, but I want to take you guys in that have never done it before and walk you through each step. Now, with that in mind, there are lots of steps here because Photoshop has so many options. I mean, there are so many things you can do in Photoshop. I mean, millions and millions. And there are multiple ways to do essentially the same thing. So you may watch or learn from another designer, and they may show you how to do something that's different from how I showed you to how to do it. But essentially, we came up with the same product. That's pretty common, and there's no worry to that. It's not a problem. It's just a common thing that happens. So just beware. So what you're going to do is you're going to open up Photoshop. Surprise, surprise. This is what you're going to see, this screen right here. Now, I have several different recent files that I've had open, so it's listing those for me. You may or may not have that happening on your screen. But what you're going to click on first is New. We're going to start a brand new canvas. We're going to title it something, whatever you want. Now, we have to decide on the dimensions for the canvas. If we're creating our first social media visual, I suggest making sure that you're doing this in pixels, not inches, not centimeters, not points. We're working in pixels, and the width be 810 by 450. This is going to be great for your blog, and it's also going to be great for your Facebook image post, as well as Twitter. It could work for Instagram now that Instagram doesn't require you to have square photos, but that's where we're going to start. 300 resolution, pixels per inch, RGB color, that's what we're looking for. And the background contents, I always go transparent. That's just the way I like to do things. So we're going to click OK, and it's going to open up our canvas. Awesome. So let me show you what we're looking at here. Down the left side, we've got a whole bunch of different icons, things that we'll be able to do to this canvas. Up here in the right-hand corner, you can decide on what kind of design space you want to work from. Typically, when you're a brand new user, you'll start in the Essentials design space. I prefer the graphic and web design space because that allows me the typography stuff, the text stuff that I need, as well as the basic elements that I'll need. And then it gets way crazier from there, but I usually work from graphic and web. Now, when you're in graphic and web, you're going to see a couple of different sections over here on the right. The character section, the layers section, and then the properties section down here at the bottom, which we don't have any yet, so that's kind of closed. But this layers section is so crucial. If I had a larger screen, I would pull that out and be able to see that in one big column over here, just because it's so crucial. So you're going to want to know, you're going to want to locate where that layer section is for you on your screen. So we have this blank canvas, and what I'm first going to do is I'm going to create another layer beyond this first layer. So I'm going to click this little box down here, and that creates two layers. I just like to start there because sometimes I get stuck and I don't have a second layer that I can work with. And so personally, that's just what I like to do. All right. Great home base is to click on this icon. It's usually the very first one that you see. This icon is your basic cursor. Nothing fancy about it. You'll be able to move stuff around if you're there. If you've clicked on any other of the icons, your cursor is going to look a little funky and you might screw up your your stuff. So this is a great home base using this very first icon. Now, we've decided on our dimensions. We've got our canvas ready. Now we have to fill in the background. That's step number 2 in our social media visual process. So you could fill it in with a basic background of a color. You could do that, or you can make a basic design with different shapes. Your shapes are going to be found over here on the left sidebar. So if you wanted to fill it in with just a solid color, you could click on the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle. Drag it across. You can see all these guides. I love the guides that allow me to see where I'm putting things. And there it is. Now it's filled in. It's not filled in with anything right now. So what I'll do is go up here to the fill, and I'm going to select a color. Let me choose, well, you can select any that are already pre-made for you, or you could click on this and you could click, obviously you could pick any color in the entire world, basically. Or you could put in the color code down here. For ease, I'm just going to click on the last color I used, which was a gray. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the stroke box, and that means the outline of the rectangle that you just drew. And I'm going to click the transparent box right here. No color there. I don't need an outline. All right, and then to place this rectangle, officially place it and make it a solid layer, I'm going to click the Enter button on my keyboard. Enter or return, same thing. All right, so now we have our background. All right, now I'm not a huge fan of just plain backgrounds. That's not how I do my branding. It's not that it's wrong. I just don't brand my images like this. If you do, there you go. You've got your background. You're ready to go. I, however, use a stock photo typically as the background of my photos, and then I place text and other things on top of it. So I don't want to look at this rectangle anymore because I'm not going to use it. So I'm going to click this little eyeball over here on the rectangle layer. Click it, and it's just going to take that away. It still exists. See, I could click it again and it was, whoop, there it is. But I don't want to look at it right now because I want my background to be a stock photo. How am I going to do that? Here's how. I am going to download a stock photo from the internet, however I want to do that. I usually use unsplash.com, UNSPLASH. I can't believe I just spelled that correctly just on the fly. That was awesome. Real life here, guys. Okay, so now I have that photo right here in my files, and I am going in my Finder file, and I am going to just drag and drop that right onto my canvas. My laptop usually takes there we go, there it is. Okay, so it's there, and I am able to do whatever the heck I want with it. Yay, okay, undo that. So now I'm going to drag the corners to make sure that it covers the entire canvas. Now, when you're working in Photoshop, if you just drag the corner without doing anything else, even if you're dragging the corner, it's really screwing up the picture. You can see that, right? Okay, so we don't want that. We want the picture to still maintain its ratio of dimensions. So you're going to hold down the Shift button on your keyboard and then play and drag the corners so it covers the canvas. Lift up the Shift button, click the Enter button, and now you've placed the image on your canvas. You are set. You've got your background. Now I'm going to click this top icon here just to come back to home base and know that I'm just playing with my normal cursor here. And now Now you don't need to do this, but my next step is to play around with this image just a little bit to further brand it in the way that I typically brand my images. And that's by creating a transparency, or also known as in Photoshop, it's called an opacity. So where you find that, I have this image selected in my layers. Right here, the opacity, I'm not sure how you say that, but that's what you can see it right there. Opace, I'm not sure. So right now it's at 100, so there's no transparency there. But I always switch this to 45%. Okay. All right, 45%. Now I'm seeing the transparent layer behind it. That's not good, right? That's not what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see the rectangle behind it now that I've just put that in there. And I'm going to change the color of the rectangle to white. I double clicked on it, change it to white. Boom, there we go. That's how I set up my stock images right there. I've got a white rectangle in the back, stock photo on top, and then the stock photo is adjusted to be 45% transparent. There we go. That's our background. Awesome. Step 2 checked off. Step 3 is to add text. So we're going to find the T icon here, click on it. We're going to make a text box. So I'm going to click, and I am entering in text here. It just so happens that the last time I did this, it was in 0.16 font, so you can't see it right now, but let me make it bigger, and okay, there it is. All right, we're back to normal spacing here. All right, it's in white right now. Photoshop is so good at remembering exactly what you just did, so it'll use the same types of elements, same colors, different things like that you just used in your last design, and that's what you're seeing here. So I'm going to play around with this text a little bit. I'm going to change the character font to Prada, my absolute favorite, and the one font that I use for my branding. And then I'm going to change the color to all the way down here to black. All right, social media visual. Oh, hey, I need to make that social media visuals. There we go. Okay, so there's social media visuals. And then my second line of text is going to be something that engage and convert. Cool, it's super small, so I'm going to make it larger. Awesome. I'm going to place that. See these little guides that help you along? I love them. And I'm going to make that exactly the same size as the top line. So there'll be different size fonts, but they'll be in line with each other. And I'm just using my up and down arrow to move that a pixel at a time. That's an easy way to do that. And there we go. We've got our text in there. I'm going to further play with this a little bit. I'm going to select 2 layers at a time over here. I'm going to select the first one, hold down my shift button, and then select the other one. So now I'm manipulating both layers of text. I'm just going to pull them both down so they're not overlapping that one shoe. There we go. That looks better to me. All right. So now we have our text in there. Finally, we're going to add our logo and or branding design elements. If you've clicked around my website at all, you've seen the diagonal black lines that are on all of my visuals. That's my branded design element that I use everywhere. Why do I do that? It's because it so obviously shows you, as soon as you see a visual from me, whether it's on Facebook or Instagram or Pinterest, you see enough of those and you say, I know who that's from. I know that's from GM Marketing Group. That's from Britt. And I want that brand recognition. You can do the same thing with your own design elements. You can do that with your logo. And really, every single part of your visuals are going to do that in some way, shape, or form, right? Just like always having a consistent background to your photos, even though it's to your visuals, even though it might be a different stock photo, it still has the same filter or the same opacity or the same tint to it. Also with your text, you're using the same font every time. So again, brand recognition, that's so key. All right, so now we're going to add that design element in here. I'm going to find the file. Let me find it here, Stripes, there it is. And I'm going to drag and drop. Boom, there it is. It's going to be a little pixelated here because it's still able to be manipulated, but we're going to put it right over here in the corner, making sure it all lines up, and then hit the enter button. And there we go. It's not pixelated anymore, and it's perfect. That's exactly where we want it. Okay. And there we go. We have the social media and visual that we needed. This visual, because it's wider than it is tall, will be set as your featured image in your blog post. It can also be used for a Twitter image or a Facebook image. Those both will be great for that. Now, as you may recall, you should also create a vertical image, more of a portrait orientation, taller than it is wide. And that is because that image will show better on Pinterest and possibly Instagram, depending on the image. Now, you may be thinking, well, I don't even use Pinterest. I never pin my stuff to Pinterest. So I don't need that portrait visual. You do still need the portrait visual because your readers may use Pinterest, and if they want to pin an image from your blog post and you don't have a good one that's going to show up on Pinterest well, they probably won't pin it. And if they do, it's not going to show up well. So it won't get shared. It won't get the traction that it deserves. So go that little extra tenth of a mile and create the portrait visual looking exactly like this horizontal one that we just created. Create that visual, put it within the body of your post, and then it's there. And then it exists so it can be shared if need be. All right. So, and you'll go through the same exact steps that I just showed you to do so. So that concludes how we create these social media visuals. And to finalize all of this, of course, we need to save it to our computer, right? So you'll find the save options right here under File, just like, all of the other programs that you're used to. You'll save it, and you can save it as a ton of different things. There are so many different options, but you can save it as any of these different types of files. Ideally, you'll save it as a JPEG. That's what you're going to save it as for your blog post and any post that you're going to put on social media. So that's how you save it. That's how you take care of this. And of course, there are so many other things to get into when you're in Photoshop, but these are the bones. This is all you need to create awesome social media visuals that engage and convert. And I hope this helped you in just kind of dipping your toe in the water and playing around with Photoshop a little bit. If you have any questions about this tutorial, feel free to email me, reach out to me via my website. Any way you can get a hold of me, I am happy to help. And until next time, have an awesome day.